Quality, speed, service, and price. Well, I mean, quality, you always have to look for quality first, okay? That's number one. And the old adage is true, you get what you pay for. And a lot of times people don't find out what they actually paid for until it's after, right? Until speed's important, and you don't want to do things too fast. And nobody's trying to set a record for building a house, and it's not HGV, and you don't one day tear it down and pull a truck out the next day and it's all back there. But you don't want those gaps in time that are really just costing the customer money. They're paying interest on a note, depending on how much has been drawn out, and when nothing's happening, then that's a problem. So I wouldn't say it's speed, but I think you just need a consistent motion to the build. There has to keep going, right? And like I said, things can get out of whack sometimes, but there's always something else you can find out to fill the gap until your other contractor or whatever, your materials are ready for it. Well, service is everything from the time that you possibly sit down with the builder for the first time and they're helping you through the process of obtaining a construction loan and drawing up plans and things like that. And how fast is that moving along? And again, it comes back to your team. So who's the banker you're working with, and who's the drawer that's drawing up these plans for you, and as you're going through that process, you're kind of narrowing it down and making changes until everything fits where you want it. So that's just the first step of service, and then like I said, communication throughout the whole build, and then what happens after after you move in and you have a problem, and there's a 911, and how fast does that person get it taken care of, right? And there are things that are more important than others, right? So paint touch-up is probably not as serious as our refrigerator's not working and we need to get that replaced. So that's the big part of the service thing. Well, I would say out of those four things, price is probably the least important. And price is always important, right? Everybody has a budget. I think you really have to look at price though as what are you getting per dollar? Most really wealthy people have always bought everything by the pound. How much, and I mean that literally. If you look back in time, they bought a car and they wanted to know how much that weighed per dollar I was spending, and that's just the way that people thought. So it's a great way to think about it. How much am I getting in this house per, for the dollar that I spend, and how does that compare to other houses I've seen out there? Is, trim work and built-ins and flooring and things like that, is it the same grade, or, is this house might be a little bit more, but what's the ratio between that and how much more I'm getting for that house, and how much longer those products in that house are gonna last over time? So, I mean, I think price is the tricky thing. It's really hard to pick a builder on price, and I would definitely caution against it, because you need to feel comfortable that up front what your price is going to be at the end, right? And if you don't feel comfortable and you feel like there could be a surprise, then that's probably not a builder. Now, you might have met with another builder that gave you a higher price, but you might feel more comfortable that's actually going to hold true, because the worst thing you can do is have a construction loan for a certain amount and then be told at the end of your build that you're $30,000 over, and where does that money come from? Do you have the ability to write that check, or is that going to be a problem? Because the bank's not going to go back and redo this whole loan for you. The house appraised at a certain amount, and they got to stay within that. So I think price is a very tricky one, and it's not necessarily the lowest price is definitely not the best thing in most cases.